this Air India crash, we discovered that that Boeing employee earlier warned. So what Boeing, how Boeing has treated that employee? So we see there are a lot of cases of corporate malpractices being reported or sexual harassment, these that. How these the people who actually come out with these allegations, how they are treated? I think mostly it is not very positive thing till date kind of thing. So we have a long way to go. I think that, as you said, we are starting in the right direction, but maybe kind of, yeah, a lot of things. Yeah, sir. Your thoughts.
So, so my background is forensic investigations.
Oh, great.
So I've been investigating financial crime and white collar crime for close to 25 years now. So if you think I have 5 whistleblower complaints every day from my clients all over the world. So we know what's going on, but of course, culturally and the way Indian environment is, things are different than how we address these complaints from, say, American company who's a client. To that elephant in the room matter, I think conditioning is a very important aspect here, and incentives. I think two things that drive India: conditioning and incentive. But incentive is of two things: one, growth, and two, to remain safe. So if you look at the license Raj, we were battered to grow. You couldn't grow, you couldn't do anything unless you had a license. So though we came from a history of entrepreneurial people, the Gujaratis, the Chettiars, the Marwadis, the Sindhis, everybody, we were entrepreneurs. We were finders, seekers, traders. We would go, Vasco da Gama was brought to India through a Gujarati ship where his ship was put in. But this whole era of conditioning that happened on us, including the British, the Mughal, and then our own license Raj. So when this level of conditioning happens for so many decades, the other generation stops trying. Now, conditioning can be changed, but you need an incentive. So we have a conditioning of being safe as a company. You think of Infosys, right? Because Vishal Sikka, who came in and said, I'll invest 10% in OpenAI, he was sacked. That this is not our business model, what are you trying to do? But that guy, imagine if Infosys was sitting on 10% or maybe even more by now of stake in OpenAI. Why? Because our conditioning is play safe, play safe, play safe. Now, that worked well when economies were going parallel, there were same rules. Now with AI, the rules have completely changed. I think India is in the most critical phase right now. This whole elephant thing don't matter. If the elephant was golden, everybody would be addressing it, right? What if the elephant in the room had gold all over it and anybody who talks about it gets the money or reward, right? Everybody will do that. So we have to attach incentive to it. Now, incentive is where either the person stays safe, so that whole whistleblower protection is very important. Anybody who addresses the elephant is safe. So India has a whistleblower protection law, US has. I would say in my experience, 90% of investigations happen through a whistleblower complaint, internal or external, both. And in most cases, whistleblowers are protected. Now, if a whistleblower chooses to stay anonymous, that is good for them, and that's what the advice is. But in corporate environment, we have to make sure, and even as a country, that there are enough mechanisms for people to speak up. I always refer to this book called The 5-Minute, by this lady who's very famous TV presenter. She says if you have to speak, 5-second rule is there. You speak in 5 seconds. Don't think, whatever it is. Don't take more than 5 seconds to think in any situation. Now, if you come with a background where you have that experience, you know the stuff, why are you afraid? So if we attach enough incentives, both for growing as well as to keep people safe, I think we have no choice. If we stay where we are, we'll be finished as a country because our role models are collapsing. Think of stock market today. Since the war, every market, Korea, Taiwan, everybody is going up. US is 20-25% up. We are down. Our IT is down. Our manufacturing is down. Everything is going to be down. Our rupee is down. Why? Unless we change culturally, we reward people who speak up, do different things, and that starts from education. I don't understand why universities or big colleges, even my own MBA college or even XLRI, for example, have to even go out for placements. Why? Why are we playing safe? You have finance, marketing, innovation, everything sitting there. Why can't there just be incubation centers with ideas and small companies coming out of it? Funding is not a problem in India. Why do we even want to go for placement? In fact, companies should be paying us more to get our talent. So we have to reverse this whole thinking of playing safe completely. And I'm not saying gamble it, but the system has to change. Because far too long we have stayed safe, thought in a way, the herd mentality that everybody is doing the same thing, I'll also do the same thing. That doesn't work anymore in today's world. We are talking of AI. In next 1 year, we'll have artificial general intelligence fused with physics or the physical side of things, which is robots already happening, We won't need workers. We won't need this whole demographic dividend which we have. It will become a liability. Unless that demographic dividend or the people we have are courageous enough to speak up, do things differently, and get their full potential. Otherwise, if we just have herd who's trying to follow, there's no way for the herd to go anymore. That's what I think.
That's an excellent point. Creating not only a protection but incentive.
Incentive is very important.
That's an excellent point, sir.
I think most of us are leaders here, right? And I think the biggest elephants in the room generally are the leaders themselves, right? And I think, and when someone says the emperor has no clothes, and he's talking about us, right? I think the way to sort of change this culture is to actually educate the guys about it, everyone in the company, right? Like in my companies, I used to actually, before the negotiation for salary, etc., I would actually create a small team of, panelists, and we'll discuss on how to negotiate, right? And how to negotiate without insulting someone, without being rude, right? And how to do it in a way where it's structured. And that definitely helped a lot in other things also, because then people understood how to put their point, right? So instead of saying that the emperor has no clothes, you should say, maybe we need to discuss why the emperor's belly button is showing, right? So the communication, is a very important part of it, which in India, for example, we generally don't pay too much attention to. Like in my, I have an 8-year-old daughter, and in her school, they often sort of do these sort of presentations around communication about, hey, when you're not feeling something, you should speak up and all those things. But most of them still lack, the entire syllabus around how to speak, how to put your point forward in a way where it is not insulting or, it is all not demeaning to someone. And I think by the time people become leaders, they often end up with large egos. That's a part of it. I really never met a person who says, I don't know anything and I've just become a leader, right? I mean, obviously everyone, everyone's experience matters to them. How do you challenge it? Right? How do you sort of make a point which is against it, but without hurting his ego, without making him sound like a fool, right? I think that conversation is a very difficult part of how sort of people grow up. It's a very difficult part of that. How do you understand how to challenge someone? I think, and most of you have spoken about your experiences about how you sort of, how can we create a culture around it. To me, challenging that culture is essentially training your employees, to revolt, right? Training your employees to revolt, but in a way where, people's egos are not hurt.
I think taking a cue from your last point that say if we bring to a more narrower focus, that corporate world, how do we create that culture where these things will be encouraged? So one thing you said of this training, how to revolt and all these things. But we have to be striking a balance that we cannot disrespect somebody, enabling culture, but with openness kind of thing. Yeah. So it's a very fine balance. So HR people will have a great challenge to create that kind of atmosphere. So one challenge I foresee is that, let's say we all talked about the earlier upbringing and all this thing, that plays a great role. But suppose in the corporate you are recruiting somebody, so he is already a finished product culturally. So we need to reorient that person in a very short span of time. So how do you do that actually? So
It's the company culture, I feel. If you're joining some company, you will mold. I have seen people slightly change personalities to blend into that culture. Just example, in a company with open culture, if somebody is trying to play the political game and he gets called out, he has to or she has to change. So